The royal family is rarely away from the headlines, and this week it's no exception. Sharon and her family have gained attention for their discussion on the popularity and future of the monarchy in the latest episode of the Osbournes podcast. Kelly says she's disappointed in Harry and Meghan, and Sharon says Charles needs to slim down the royal family. Let's take a listen.
Maybe it's because I feel a certain level of disappointment in the sense where I feel like they had an opportunity to become the most liked, loved people in the entire world that could actually bring some positive change, but they went down this like victim road instead. Like I get wanting to leave
the royal family.
I get that, but then just leave. Don't leave and then just give like woe is me stories about all how difficult it was. Because
they do a lot of good, but they're human beings and they up. We all up. I think that it needs to be scaled down, and I do think that a lot of the pomp should go.
Okay.
It should be much more modernised. And
So should the royal family be slimmed down? Sharon, that was a very dark room, and I was worried that there were no snacks on the desks. But apart from that, on the substance of the chat, you think slim down even more the royal family?
I think there's still a few rough edges that could go, but I have full faith in our king that he's going to do the right thing by his country, and he's going to do what is right for the country. And I think he will slim it down more, and he will get more modern with as far as the pomp goes.
But how far do you want to see? I mean, do you want to see them on bicycles as
Oh
certain
no,
other
that would
European
be
royals?
no, that would be a bit dangerous, wouldn't it?
Do you not love the pomp? I love the pomp. The pomp's the thing that I...
Listen, I loved the coronation.
We loved that bus.
I mean, the whole thing was just magnificent. I just think that, OK, that's for when, you know, we get a new king, a new queen, yes. But I think still a lot of it can be, you know,
so
like I said, the capes and the hats and...
Are you saying it's less about the pomp and it's more about the stuff when they do the day-to-day, when it's the whole entourage, it's the whole arrival, it's the whole, you know, the cars and the things?
No, they do so much good with that.
Well,
they make
do. They're
people
amazing
happy.
at that.
They do good charity work constantly. You know, our king is... We all know, you know, he was the first one to talk about the environment and organic farming, and people used to laugh years ago. You know, 40 years ago, what does he know? You know, well, he knows a lot more than we do. And, you know, all his philosophies have turned out to be
But I think Kelly's right, though, when she was saying, and I actually think she underplayed it, I think she was giving them a little bit too much credit, where she's saying she's disappointed. I share that disappointment. I totally understand, and I'm sure you probably know better than the rest of us, what it's like when you've got scrutiny and people are saying things that are, you know, pretty unpleasant, and you've got all this stuff and you're trying to get control of the narrative and all that. And I can imagine it's hideous, and I can imagine it's also hideous when you know, it's like being in a job and you know you're never going to be promoted. You know you're never going to be the person who... Because you can't. Because
yeah, but the thing is, how bad is it being a prince?
But exactly. But then worse than that is that if you've got a problem and you air it and you discuss it, that's one thing. But if you're taking the money to do it, that's why I'm disappointed. I'm not disappointed so much that he's walked away. Don't you shake your head, JJ Anasiri. You know I'm right.
I don't know what you two have been drinking, but you've lost the plot, I'm afraid.
Why?
What is the plot?
Harry and
Tell
Meghan.
me.
I'll tell you now.
What, to
Harry
make money?
and Meghan had loads of bad stories written about them in the press for a long time. Some stories they suspect were coming from the royal family as well. So they decided to do one big story of their own where they have their own side of the events.
Where recollections may vary, yes.
Yeah, they may do, but they had... They had their... That's him, that's not them, that's him. So just for Harry and Meghan, they did their series, and then for Netflix, and that was it. They didn't do 5 series, 10 series. They did one series. Where
Because it was canned. Because nobody liked it.
It was the most successful documentary ever on Netflix.
Hold on a second. They started off with Oprah Winfrey. There was the Oprah Winfrey, then there was
then he did a million different interviews to promote the book.
And then there was the book, which have got you honestly saying that Meghan didn't read over his shoulder and go...
From the Oprah Winfrey interview to the final episode of Netflix, they did 8 interviews. How many stories about them that were put out that were negative?
You are defending the indefensible.
But can I just bring you back to the other issue about the slimmed down monarchy? Because, of course, Charles always said before Harry and Meghan left, you know, when he was asked what kind of king he wanted to be, that he would be very modern, that he wanted to have a much more slimmed-down royal family. But, of course, that was before he knew he was going to lose Andrew and he was going to lose Harry and Meghan. Actually, do you know there are only 4 working royals under the age of 70? I mean, I find that statistic absolutely extraordinary. So he can't really slim it down any more than
it's going to slim down itself quite
until the
naturally.
kids.
It will naturally.
But until the kids, as in William and Kate's kids, until they can start stepping up and being working royals, they haven't got enough. They haven't got enough bums to go around the seats.
Bring back Harry. That's what I say.
Dear. Oh, the whiner.
Unbelievable.
All right.
He's only saying
No. Still, the classic line for me is that William had a bigger bedroom than me. And Balmoral.
He broke my necklace.
But he did. He's a vicious man, William. Anyway, moving on.